And I'm told even seasoned detectives were sickened by this case of child abuse. We are in the Sonoran Desert. Buried underground here are thousands of hidden sensors. Border Patrol officials would not tell us how many. Yeah, Dan, Heather, we're still seeing a lot of water out here in Cochise County. Take a look. This is one of the washes still flowing through the Ramsey Road area. We're in the Hereford, community of Hereford. Some farmers living around here are going to have a long night. They tell me the barns and pig pens are filling up with water, so they are scrambling to move the animals to safety tonight. Yeah, Dan, Heather, residents out here say it stinks. Now, 4 months after we first brought you this story, we're seeing even more furniture littered out here in the front yard of the home. We're seeing a couple of mattresses, an old couch, a lot of broken glass, and through the cracks of this fence here in the backyard, unbelievable, the backyard of this home looks like a landfill. And the victim is a young University of Arizona student. Now, we are live in the 1000 block of East Seneca here in Midtown, where this attempted sexual assault took place. Now, according to these court documents, the man broke into the house through a window. And people get so fired up about this. Tucson Potholes actually have their own website and their own blog. One frustrated driver I spoke to actually compared the surface of Tucson streets to the surface of the moon. That things are finally under control after a very tense and chaotic afternoon here on the south side. We are right across the street from the popular restaurant El Güero Canelo. Take a look at this video we shot just about an hour ago. Police barricaded several streets here near Utah and 12th Street. We saw SWAT officers armed with guns walking around in the neighborhoods. Quite a sight to see. This is what environmentalists are concerned about. The soil was bright orange to red in color.
KOLD News 13 Sonu Wasu broke this story and is now speaking out with residents about their concerns.
Leaking mines have caused problems in this area for years, and now it's hitting close to home. I am at the town well. About 800 people rely on this as their primary source of drinking water. Now residents wonder if it's safe enough to drink. Does it bother you?
Yes, it does bother me.
Patricia Meller is one of about 800 residents who relies on these wells for water. She's just finding out about the discolored mining sludge flowing in the beautiful Patagonia mountains. Sludge leaking from abandoned mines, about 130 of them up here.
It's very frustrating, and they want to put new mines in the Patagonia mountains, and we can't even clean up the old ones.
Gooch Goodwin, a local environmentalist, accidentally discovered the leaking mines. What are your concerns?
That it is dangerous and it is getting to our waterways. This actually flows into Sonoita Creek, which goes into Patagonia Lake.
Scientists with the U.S. Geological Survey say the sludge contains aluminum, iron, silicon, sulfur, and manganese. The exact levels have not been determined yet. pH levels show the water is also very acidic. Alarming news for environmental watchdog groups.
We buy bottled water, so we drink that more, actually.
Hearing that the water could have lead, aluminum, copper, your thoughts?
That's awful. And also, I think that leads to a lot to Alzheimer's, and my mom had Alzheimer's, so that really bothers me.
To get some answers, we crashed the local town hall meeting, which happened to be taking place tonight, and spoke to the town manager. How often do you test the town wells?
Well, we test them as often as necessary, which basically is normally a month, once a month.
When was the last time the water was tested in the wells?
I think it was tested a week ago. I'm not sure the exact date.
What were the results?
Oh, it's fine. We're just watching the situation now, and if it looks like we need to test more often, we're prepared to do that.
Environmentalists worry about the impact of this acidic sludge on wildlife and fish. The violation notice now means the owner of the mines will have to start taking action immediately, or they could face big fines. We were unable to get a hold of anyone with the Trench Camp mines tonight for a comment. Reporting from Patagonia, Sonu Wasu, KOLD News 13, live, local, late breaking.
All right.
We are in the Sonoran Desert. Buried underground here are thousands of hidden sensors. Border Patrol officials would not tell us how many, but this is what the illegal immigrants set off as they tried to sneak their way into America. Border watch groups tell me they're not surprised. They've seen signs of Middle Easterners sneaking through our back door for years. Tim Foley knows this desert better than any Border Patrol agent.
I've walked to every single one of these mountains. I know the trails and everything else. And when I run into line agents, sometimes they tell me, man, you know more about this than we do.
He is the founder of Arizona Border Recon, a group of ex-military volunteers who act as the eyes and ears for understaffed Border Patrol agents in these mountains. We're walking in what Border Patrol calls the hot zone. Almost half of all drug and human smuggling taking place in these mountains surrounding Patagonia, Sonoita, and Sasabe. Foley and his group have seen the drug scouts come face to face with illegal immigrants and logged all the trash they leave behind. It's not just cans of food and worn-out backpacks.
Korans, prayer rugs.
So you found these just littered out in the desert?
Yeah, right up the road here. One of the ranch hands had a Muslim male who had a prayer rug over his shoulder with a chest-length beard, cut square. Walk up and ask for water.
Department of Homeland Security officials say they checked the background of the 6 Middle Eastern men with every law enforcement agency and national security database. The records check indicated no red flags. But watchdogs out here in the desert wonder, why enter illegally if there's nothing to hide?
Don't come sneaking underneath in through the back door or through the window, because that makes you suspect. Who are they? There's no way to vet these people.
Border watchdog groups tell me it's a cat and mouse game out here in this desert. As soon as the human smugglers figure out where those Department of Homeland Security sensors are, they'll basically just bypass it and find another route. Reporting from the Sonoran Desert, Sonu Wasu, KOLD News 13, live, local, late breaking. Yeah, Dan, Heather, residents out here say it stinks. Now, 4 months after we first brought you this story, we're seeing even more furniture littered out here in the front yard of the home. We're seeing a couple of mattresses, an old couch, a lot of broken glass, and through the cracks of this fence here in the backyard, unbelievable, the backyard of this home looks like a landfill. Imagine living next to this. We're on a property right off Fort Lowell and Prince, where residents are fed up. This man has been complaining to the city for the last year and a half.
Who knows what's in those trash bags, you know, needles and who knows what.
But this is trash that's been sitting out here for over a year now.
Yes.
Unsanitary, toxic.
Absolutely, yes. It gets worse, you know. The wind carries, you know, the smell. You got rodents and an infestation of critters.
The city has in fact been out here several times. They've boarded up windows, condemned the place. Yet residents tell me squatters continue to lounge on the old furniture piling up here.
It's just disgusting. It's just a mess. You get tired of looking at the disaster.
Once again, we reached out to the city to find out why it's taking so long to clean this up. We did find out the property is owned by the Federal National Mortgage Association, also known as Fannie Mae. They've hired Safeguard Properties, a company that specializes in high-risk code management. City officials tell me they've already met with Safeguard Properties. The company has submitted 2 bids to Fannie Mae to clean up the trash. They're now waiting for Fannie Mae to give them the green light so they can get started. We informed residents about this progress. Their response? Speed it up.
Fannie Mae, they've taken way too long, you know, way too long. It just in my interest, you know, that they don't care about the community, about its residents, and they should come out here. The CEO of Fannie Mae should come out here and look at this property, you know, and how would he like to live in this community.
Now, we are also starting to see graffiti on this property now. We will continue to follow this story and update you when this cleanup finally begins. Reporting live in Midtown, Sonu Wasu, KOLD News 13, live, local, late breaking. We had to get clearance from the top levels of the federal government to get into the ICE facility. It is expensive business. According to reports we have obtained, the cost of federal detention, $164 a day for one detainee. Immigration advocates are calling for alternatives, saying it's cheaper and more humane for families struggling with the loss of a provider now behind bars.
As of today, it has been exactly 1 year, a month, and 8 days since they took my father away.
In these pictures, you see the face of a happy family man. He's been in the U.S. for almost 2 decades. But the troubled faces staring at our camera in this room are those of a family who say the arrest of Felipe Cobos Luna has torn their family apart.
I can't stand hearing him saying, "I'm sorry, I can't be there, but I promise you I will be back home soon."
ICE officials say Cobos Luna has been detained because of his rap sheet. Federal records show he's been deported twice and re-entered the country illegally. Like many others, his family wants him to stay at home while awaiting his deportation hearing.
All people in detention suffer a level of abuse and conditions that are really challenging.
After hearing numerous allegations of bad conditions, bad treatment, and lack of food, we asked Homeland Security officials if we could take our cameras inside an ICE facility to get a first-hand look at how illegal immigrants are housed.
We're not hiding anything. We're proud of our detention facility.
ICE officials asked us not to show the faces of detainees. In here, 80 different nationalities coexisting behind barbed wire. Majority from Central America, Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador. While driving around the complex, yes, it looks and feels like a prison. You will see the barbed wire, security cameras, uniforms, and dorm rooms that are called open pods. So we were surprised to hear,
no one is here, being punished.
An ICE spokeswoman says the detainees have a lot more freedom than, say, a prisoner in a state or county jail.
They're fed 3 times a day. They have access to commissary items. We have snack machines.
We saw vending machines in every dorm room, large soda fountains in the cafeteria. Not something I've seen while visiting state and county jails. We are told every detainee is also allowed to keep up to $60 with them. Once a week, checks and money orders can be cashed. We saw multiple phones in every pod, also machines where detainees can buy phone cards. Inmates have access to laundry every day. In the rec yard, we saw a newly turfed soccer field and gym equipment. In the day rooms, 2 TVs where detainees are allowed to stay up until 1 a.m. on weekends and hang out. But immigration advocates say the complaints they're hearing are serious.
Lack of adequate medical attention.
We took this concern to the Department of Homeland Security. They walked us around their medical unit, which is staffed 24 hours.
Every morning, every detainee is asked if they're feeling okay, if there are any issues.
Doctors, nurses, and a dentist on hand every day. ICE officials sent me a statement saying, quote, they're committed to providing detainees with timely, safe, humane, and appropriate treatment, which includes medical and mental health care. Another big complaint from immigration advocates.
The food, for example, in certain detention centers not being adequate.
We asked officials if we could check out the day's lunch menu and take a trip into the kitchen. Amid the long, hungry crowd of detainees waiting to be fed, staff made me a plate. This is what detainees are eating. I took a bite and a sip. Tasted like corn dogs and chicken soup. Staff say they're serving up to 3,500 calories a day, and the food they're cooking is the same food fed to U.S. soldiers and military bases throughout the country. The feds use the same food vendor to save money. While it's definitely not home.
No one wants to be in detention. The common complaint is, when am I going home? When am I being released?
A question only a judge can answer. Unlike a prison, families are allowed to visit loved ones every single day, up to 3 allowed at a time.
When we talk on the phone, it breaks my heart to hear him cry and cry. To hear how all this is affecting him, especially mentally.
To lighten the load and free up more bed space, the Obama administration is now trying to speed up the court process and fast-track deportations, especially for those with violent criminal histories. Sonu Wasu, KOLD News 13, live, local, late breaking.
Okay, thank you, Sonu.